Downward facing dog, or down dog for short, is one of the poses that is most synonymous with yoga. However, it can be a very uncomfortable pose for many, especially as a new yogi. Here are my top 5 tips for making your down dog more comfortable and maximizing the pose. First, let's talk about why we do down dog. When you understand the purpose of a pose, you can focus on what you should be feeling in that pose rather than trying to make the pose look like a specific shape. Even if your pose did look precisely the same as your neighbor's, the pose will feel different because you have a different body. The primary physical purpose of down dog is to stretch the back side of the body, the calves, hamstrings, back, and even your neck muscles. Anytime I start to feel an ache in my back, especially after sitting at the computer or long car rides, a quick down dog helps to release the tension and get me back to feeling normal. My second tip is to lift your tailbone. That's the very bottom end of your spine. This is what down dog looks like for most new students. Because we live in a society where we sit most or all of our day, we are predisposed to lose the natural curve of our lumbar spine. In down dog, think about trying to stick your butt out to the ceiling. You may hear your teacher cue, lift your hips, rotate your pelvis forward, or lengthen your spine. Lift your hips actually incorporates the next tip as well. As you lift your tailbone, push your hips up to the ceiling. Now we're not just talking about a forward rotation in the pelvis, but a lift as well. To do this, push your hands into the mat and shift your weight back into your feet while lifting your tailbone. To maximize this motion, push into your mat with your whole hand, meaning the inner web between your thumb and index finger, as well as the pinky side of your hand. Beginners tend to rest most of their weight into the outer edge of their hands, which will fatigue the wrists more quickly. Next, keep a slight bend in your knees. You may be thinking, I thought I was supposed to straighten my legs. Instead, think about pressing your heels to the floor. Your legs may straighten, but don't worry if they don't. If you feel the stretch in your calves and hamstrings, you are doing the pose right. If the stretch is uncomfortable, the bent legs can help relieve some of the discomfort until those muscles have had a chance to lengthen. Also, know that it's okay if your heels never touch the floor. You do not need to shorten your stance, meaning move your feet closer to your hands just to get the heels to touch. Enjoy the stretch for what it is. Let's take a quick moment to recap these last 3 tips. When you lift your tailbone, you stretch your hamstrings. When you lift your hips, you stretch your spine. When you press your heels toward the floor, you stretch your calves. That is down dog. One last tip to make down dog a little more comfortable. Rotate the inner elbow crease slightly forward and slide your shoulder blades down your back. The inner elbow crease is the opposite side from the pointy part. Rotate your arms so that the right inner elbow faces the top left corner of your mat and the left inner elbow faces the top right corner of your mat. Your shoulder blades are the large triangle bones at the back of your shoulder. Engage your back muscles to move the shoulder blades closer to your hips and away from your ears. As you do so, you will feel some extra length in your spine. I hope you found these 5 tips to making your down dog more comfortable useful, and you can incorporate them in your next class. Yoga is a very individual practice that is guided by your intuition. It takes time to tune into that. In the meantime, pay attention to your teacher's cues, especially the cues about what you should feel in the pose. If you have any additional questions, don't hesitate to email me. I can be reached at rebecca@compassyogastudio.com. Namaste.